There are some people in history who feel larger than life, and Princess Diana is one of them. Even today, long after her passing, her name still brings out strong emotions. People remember the way she smiled, the way she reached out to others, and the way she broke through the walls of royalty with her kindness. She wasn't just a member of the royal family. She became a symbol of hope, love, and compassion for millions of people around the world. Newspapers called her the People's Princess. But to many, she felt like a friend, someone who understood pain, loneliness, and the desire to make the world better. What most people don't realize is that behind the flashing cameras and endless headlines, Princess Diana had private places where she could simply be herself. These were the places where she didn't have to smile for crowds or pose for photographs. These were the homes where she laughed freely, cried openly, and let her guard down. They were more than buildings. They were sanctuaries. Quiet worlds built from old traditions, deep family history, and the elegance of England's old money class. Today we step inside these remarkable estates and uncover the side of Princess Diana most people never see. Each home has its own story, its own style, and its own connection to the woman the world adored. Althorp House, Northamptonshire, England. Our journey begins with the place that shaped Princess Diana's earliest memories, Althorp House, the grand ancestral seat of the Spencer family. For more than 500 years, this estate has belonged to Diana's ancestors. It stretches across 13,000 acres, with green fields, ancient trees, and lakes that look like they came from a painting. When people talk about old money, places like Althorp are what they mean. This house wasn't built to impress the world. It was built to last, to carry family history across centuries. The estate itself feels endless. If you stand at the entrance and look out, all you see is land, rolling hills, forests, and quiet pathways. Long before Princess Diana was born, this land was guarded by generations of the Spencer family. The house at the center of it all is massive, with 90 rooms, 31 bedrooms, tall windows, and wide hallways that echo with footsteps. Even from the outside, it looks powerful, like a piece of history that refuses to fade. When Diana was born in 1961, she didn't live at Althorp immediately. Her early years were spent at Park House. But after her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer in 1975, the family moved here. That moment changed her life forever. She went from living in a comfortable country home to residing in one of England's greatest estates. For a child of 14, Althorp wasn't just a house, it was a world. Inside, everything feels grand. The ceilings stretch high above your head. The floors shine with polished wood. The walls are lined with portraits of ancestors, even people from hundreds of years. Ego. Famous artists like Anthony van Dyck painted many of them. These paintings show faces with soft curls, silk clothing, and calm, noble expressions. Imagine being a young girl and growing up surrounded by these figures, each one reminding you that you come from a long line of tradition and responsibility. The house itself has changed through the centuries. The oldest version began in 1688, replacing an earlier Tudor house. Later generations added new parts as styles evolved. The stable block, created in the 1730s by architect Roger Morris, shows the Palladian style, symmetry, perfect balance, and classical elegance. Every doorway, every column, every curve feels carefully designed. The gardens are no less impressive. Spread across miles of land, they feel like a peaceful kingdom of their own. Neatly shaped hedges, bright flower beds, wide lawns, and quiet walking paths surround the house. Deer roam across the fields, black fallow and red stag, moving gently through the landscape as if they belong to the estate as much as the house does. And then, there is the lake. The round oval. Lake sits like a mirror reflecting the sky. In the center of the lake is a small island covered in tall trees and thick greenery. This island would one day become the final resting place of Princess Diana. After her tragic death in 1997, her brother, Charles Spencer, chose this location because it offered something she never truly had in life: privacy and peace. To protect her grave, the island can only be reached by boat. No cameras, no crowds, only quiet water and whispering trees. For decades after her passing, Althorp opened a special exhibition dedicated to her life. Visitors could see personal items like her childhood toys, letters, and even the wedding dress she wore when she married Prince Charles. But in time, these items were passed down to her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who carry her legacy forward. Today, Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer, continues to watch over the estate. Althorp is still a living monument to history, but for millions of people, it will forever be the place where the memory of Princess Diana feels the strongest. A sanctuary. Behind closed doors, growing up in Althorp shaped Princess Diana in ways the world didn't always see. The beauty of the land taught her to love nature. The vast, quiet spaces taught her to reflect. The history of the house taught her the weight of legacy. And yet, even surrounded by grandeur, she often felt lonely. Her parents' marriage was troubled, and the sound of arguments echoed through the hallways more often than laughter. But Althorp also gave her moments of joy. She rode horses across the fields. She played with her siblings in the gardens. She walked along the lake where she would one day rest. This estate held her happiest memories and her hardest ones, Park House, and uncovered the early life that shaped the woman the world would come to love. Park House, where Diana's story begins. Before Princess Diana became a global icon, before the royal wedding watched by millions, before the endless charity work and cameras following her everywhere, there was a small, warm, quiet place where her life first began. That place was Park House, a charming Victorian home tucked inside the vast Sandringham estate in Norfolk, England. While Althorp feels grand and imposing, almost like a museum of English history, Park House feels entirely different. It has the softness and gentleness of a true family home. Surrounded by wide fields, tall trees, and peaceful gardens, Park House is a place where a child can run, play, and dream without limits. And that is exactly what Diana did. The first years of a future princess. Diana Frances Spencer was born here on July 1st, 1961, the fourth of 5 children of John Spencer, Viscount Althorp, and Frances Spencer, Viscountess Althorp. The name Diana was not only elegant but meaningful. Her mother, Frances, had also been born in the very same house. This added a sense of continuity, one generation beginning exactly where another had begun. Park House was leased to the Spencer family by Queen Elizabeth II, who was fondly known by Diana as Aunt Lilibet. This close connection between the Spencers and the royal family meant that from birth, Diana grew up near royalty, not just through a line on a family tree, but through everyday life. Just a mile away stood Sandringham House, one of the royal family's beloved winter residences. Princes Andrew and Edward were Diana's early playmates. The children visited one another, played in the gardens, and shared the innocence of childhood long before royal titles or public expectations entered their lives. A house full of character. The outside of Park House tells a story before you even step inside. Built in 1863, the house carries the personality of Victorian architecture. Its red brick walls, accented by limestone trim, give it a warm, welcoming look. The windows are long and white-framed, designed to let natural light spill into the rooms. The roof rises into a collection of chimneys, each one shaped like a reminder of the home's age and the families who live there. The house doesn't try to impress with size or overwhelming luxury. Instead, it feels honest, like a place meant to be lived in, not admired from a distance. Gables, bay windows, and winding paths add charm, making the house appear almost like something you'd see in a classic storybook. Inside, the rooms are not enormous or extravagant, but they hold a quiet beauty. The interiors blend the late Victorian and Edwardian styles. Nothing too showy, nothing too grand. Soft paint colors, old fireplaces, wooden floors, and comfortable furniture work together to create a warm, intimate atmosphere. Each room feels like it was made for memories. During the 1980s, Park House underwent careful restoration. The home was updated to support guests with disabilities, yet the designers worked hard to keep its historic charm. It wasn't just a building being repaired, it was a legacy being respected. Childhood moments and emotional memories. For a young Diana, Park House was both a playground and a shelter, Her brother, Charles Spencer, later shared memories of their time here. He recalled the large garden where the children played hide and seek, the swimming pool where they splashed during warm afternoons, and the tennis court where they enjoyed friendly games under the sun. Everything felt bright, carefree, and full of life. But even in a beautiful setting, childhood can carry shadows. The Spencer family was under intense pressure to produce a male heir. Diana's parents desperately wanted a son to carry on the family title. Diana's birth, although joyful, was unfortunately met with disappointment by some elders who expected a boy. This created emotional tension inside the home. Over the years, the marriage between John and Frances Spencer began to fall apart. Arguments became more frequent. Silence grew heavier. Diana, even as a child, could sense when love was fading between her parents. She later spoke about how she felt unloved at times, believing she wasn't enough, an emotion that followed her into adulthood. But despite the sadness behind closed doors, Park House also gave her strength. It gave her independence, kindness, and a desire to comfort others. These qualities helped shape the woman who would later become known for hugging sick children, visiting hospitals in secret, and helping people who felt unseen. Life changes, and a new beginning. In 1975, everything changed. Diana's father inherited the title of 8th Earl Spencer, and with that came responsibility for Althorp House. This meant the family could no longer remain at Park House. They packed their belongings and moved from the warm, familiar halls of Diana's birthplace to the vast, more formal rooms of Althorp. For Diana, leaving Park House was like leaving behind a piece of her heart. She had grown up among the soft countryside, the friendly neighbors, and the gentle rhythm of true rural life. Althorp was beautiful, but it felt different, larger, stricter, and filled with the weight of tradition. Yet Park House never stopped being important to her story. Even after the family moved, the home remained a symbol of her beginnings, both joyful and painful. A place with purpose. In 1983, Queen Elizabeth II donated Park House to the Leonard Cheshire Disability Charity. The home was transformed into a hotel specifically designed to help people with disabilities enjoy a welcoming, accessible environment. This purpose fit perfectly with Diana's own values: kindness, compassion, and equal treatment for all. Though she no longer lived there, the spirit of the home aligned with her mission in life. The hotel continued serving guests for decades. A renovation planned in 2019 was paused due to financial challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet Park House still stands today, its lilac-patterned walls, wooden floors, and peaceful gardens keeping its history alive. For millions of people, Park House represents the early chapters of a woman who would go on to influence the world. The house shows us that Diana's life wasn't shaped only by palaces and royal duties, but by a simple, quiet childhood home filled with love, heartache, and hope. Highgrove House, a beautiful retreat with a complicated story. When people think of Princess Diana, they often picture her standing on palace steps, traveling on royal tours, or comforting sick children in hospitals. But behind those public moments, she had places where she lived her private life, places the world rarely saw. One of the most important of these places was Highgrove House, a quiet, elegant estate tucked into the rolling hills of the Cotswolds in Gloucestershire, England. To the world, Highgrove looked like a peaceful country escape, but for Princess Diana, it became a home filled with both memories and mixed emotions. It was a place where she raised her children, walked through beautiful gardens, and tried to build a life within the royal family. Yet it was also a home where she often felt isolated and misunderstood. An estate rooted in English tradition. Highgrove House wasn't originally built for royalty. It began its life between 1796 and 1798, created by architect Anthony Keck, a designer known for simple, elegant houses that blended perfectly into the countryside. The result was a Georgian, neoclassical mansion, a style famous for its clean lines, balanced windows, and calm symmetry. The house itself is made of pale, ashlar stone blocks. Its roof is a mix of slate and stone, giving it the look of older English manors. The front facade has tall, rectangular windows arranged neatly, with a central porch added in the late 1800s. Everything about Highgrove feels traditional and perfectly placed, as if it grew from the earth around it. In 1980, before he married Diana, Prince Charles purchased the estate as his country home. At the time, the gardens were simple and plain. The land looked worn from years of neglect. But Charles had a vision. He was deeply interested in nature, farming, and environmental protection long before these topics became popular. He wanted Highgrove to be a living example of sustainability, an estate that respected the natural world. This meant Highgrove was not only meant to be beautiful, it was designed to be meaningful. Inside Highgrove, a blend of history and home. When you step inside Highgrove House, the first room you enter is the grand hallway, where a wide staircase leads to the upper floors. The walls here are painted in soft pastel colors, light yellows, pale pinks, gentle greens. These colors give the house a warm and calm feeling, making it clear that this is not a palace meant for ceremonies. It's a home meant for living. The drawing room is one of the most inviting spaces. Tall windows overlook the gardens, letting sunlight pour in. There are soft sofas, delicate rugs, and frame paintings showing landscapes and royal family portraits. A grand piano sits in the corner, a reminder that music was often part of family evenings. Next is the library, which opens onto a small courtyard. Books line the shelves from floor to ceiling, covering topics like gardening, history, environmental studies, and classic literature. A simple desk sits near the window, offering a view of the greenery outside. It was a quiet spot for reading, writing letters, or simply taking a moment away from the busy demands of royal life. Highgrove includes 9 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms, each decorated with a mix of antique furniture and comfortable modern touches. Designer Robert Keim helped decorate the interiors, using natural fabrics, hand-woven textiles, and soft lighting that made the house feel gentle and welcoming. Even though it was a royal residence, it never felt cold or formal. A home, shared but not always loved. When Princess Diana and Prince Charles married in 1981, Highgrove became one of their main homes. To the outside world, it looked like a lovely country estate, where the royal couple could escape the pressures of public life. But inside, their marriage was growing more complicated. Although the estate was large, filled with guest rooms, reception spaces, and private quarters, Diana often felt alone here. The Cotswolds countryside, although beautiful, was far from her childhood friends and the busy world she enjoyed. She also felt the emotional distance between herself and Charles growing wider. The presence of Camilla Parker Bowles, who lived nearby, added even more strain. Diana later admitted that she always felt overshadowed at Highgrove, as though she didn't fully belong in the place meant to be her home. Even though she tried to settle in, even though she decorated the rooms and made spaces for her children, the house often reminded her of the growing cracks in her marriage. Yet, Diana stayed strong for her sons. A childhood wonderland for William and Harry. If Highgrove was complicated for Diana, it was magical for Prince William and Prince Harry. The entire estate became their playground. They ran across the lawns, explored hidden garden paths, and climbed trees in the orchard. They played games with their mother, chased after their dogs, and enjoyed laughter-filled afternoons. Diana loved watching her boys explore nature. She encouraged them to play freely, to get muddy, to be curious. She wanted them to grow up knowing what real life felt like, something she believed they couldn't fully experience inside royal palaces. Highgrove gave her sons something priceless, a childhood that felt real. The gardens. Prince Charles's passion project. One of the most famous parts of Highgrove is the garden collection, something Prince Charles poured his soul into. When he bought the estate, the grounds were dull and plain. But year after year, he transformed them into a series of breathtaking outdoor spaces. There is the wildflower meadow, where thousands of flowers bloom in spring, turning the field into a sea of color. There is the kitchen garden, filled with organic vegetables and herbs. The stumpery, one of the most unusual areas, uses twisted tree roots and ferns to create a shady, dramatic forest-like corner. With the help of garden expert Rosemary Very, Charles turned Highgrove into a living example of sustainable, organic gardening. For visitors, the gardens are beautiful. For Charles, they are a lifelong passion. For Diana, they were a reminder of a world she could never fully step into. The community and the quiet. Goodbye. Although Diana felt emotionally distant from Highgrove, she found comfort in the nearby towns of Tetbury and Cirencester. She visited local shops, talked with villagers, and supported community events. Residents remembered her kindness, noting how she treated everyone with warmth, whether they were farmers, shopkeepers, or elderly neighbors. By the early 1990s, her marriage to Charles was falling apart. In 1992, they officially separated. Sometime after, Diana left Highgrove for good. It was not only a physical departure, but also a symbolic one. Leaving Highgrove meant leaving behind years of confusion, disappointment, and emotional hurt. Today, Highgrove remains part of the royal estate, overseen by the Duchy of Cornwall. It still reflects Charles's love of nature and sustainability. The house and gardens host charitable events, raising funds for environmental and community programs. But for those who know its history, Highgrove will always be remembered as the place where Diana tried her best to build a life, while quietly carrying a heavy heart. Kensington Palace, Diana's haven in the heart of London. If Althorp shaped Princess Diana's childhood, and Park House gave her her earliest memories, and Highgrove revealed the challenges of her marriage, then Kensington Palace became the place where her true identity blossomed. It was here, behind tall brick walls and quiet garden paths, that Diana transformed from a shy young woman into one of the most beloved figures in modern history. Kensington Palace wasn't just a royal residence for Diana. It was her safe place, her creative space, her home, the one she kept even after her marriage ended. Within these walls, Diana laughed, cried, raised her sons, built her public image, and searched for inner peace. A palace with centuries of history. Long before Princess Diana ever stepped foot inside it, Kensington Palace already carried hundreds of years of stories. It began in the 1600s as Nottingham House, a simple Jacobean mansion surrounded by open land. But when King William III and Queen Mary II wanted a home away from the smoky, crowded streets of London, they chose this very place. They hired the famed architect Sir Christopher Wren, the same visionary behind St. Paul's Cathedral, to expand the building. Wren added tall brick wings, elegant staircases, and perfectly symmetrical pavilions. He transformed a modest mansion into a palace fit for royalty, while still keeping its warm, inviting atmosphere. Unlike Buckingham Palace, which feels bold and formal, Kensington Palace feels calm and welcoming. Its red brick walls, white-trimmed windows, and gently sloping roof give it a classic simplicity. It looks less like a castle and more like a grand, stately home, something Diana appreciated deeply. The outside gardens complete its charm. Designed in the style of Dutch and Georgian landscapes, the lawns stretch wide and green, straight. Pathways lead past fountains, flower beds, and clipped hedges. In spring and summer, the grounds glow with color, roses, tulips, lilies, and bright white flowers that shine in the sunlight. Kensington Palace is both royal and human, both historic and warm, and that balance matched Diana perfectly. A new life begins. When Diana married Prince Charles in 1981, she was only 20 years old. She entered a world filled with rules, expectations, and enormous pressure. She moved from being Lady Diana Spencer to instantly becoming the Princess of Wales. But inside the palace, she wanted a home, not a museum. Prince Charles and Diana moved into apartment 8 and 9, two large living spaces that were combined to create a single, elegant home. These apartments weren't apartments in the modern sense. They were more like a grand townhouse within the palace grounds. Long hallways, bright rooms, polished floors, and windows facing the gardens made the space feel open and peaceful. It became the center of Diana's new life as a princess, shaping a home that felt like hers. One of the first things Diana did was transform her new residence with the help of interior designer Dudley Pop Black. She didn't want gold-covered walls or overwhelming royal decorations. Instead, she wanted comfort, something gentle, familiar, and welcoming. She chose soft pastel colors, gentle floral patterns, warm fabrics, and cushions that made every room feel like a relaxing retreat. Her favorite shades were light blues, pale pinks, and creamy whites. These colors made the space feel fresh and bright, reflecting the warmth she naturally brought into every room. Her sitting room became one of the most iconic spaces. With dusty pink upholstery, family photographs, and shelves of books, it felt like a place where real life could happen. Talks with friends, quiet afternoons with her children, and moments of reflection after long public days. Diana brought life into the palace. She brought laughter. She brought personality. She made it hers, a home for her children. One of Diana's greatest joys was creating a loving environment for her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. The entire top floor of her apartment was turned into a charming nursery suite, designed by the children's company Dragons of Walton Street. The rooms were filled with soft colors, wooden toys, teddy bears, and hand-painted furniture. The goal wasn't to make the rooms look royal, it was to make them feel like childhood. Diana wanted her boys to grow up knowing love, kindness, and normal life. She took them to theme parks, fast food restaurants, and public playgrounds. She let them run through the palace halls, get messy in the gardens, and laugh without worrying about cameras. And every night, they came home to their warm nursery at Kensington Palace, tucked safely inside the space Diana made just for them. A palace filled with stories. Kensington Palace contains some of the most spectacular rooms in royal history. One of the most famous is the King's Staircase, painted by William Kent during the reign of George I. The walls are covered with huge, colorful images of courtiers, guards, soldiers, and servants. Kent even painted himself into the scene, a quiet signature. The staterooms, which include the cupola room, the King's Gallery, and the Queen's apartments, shine with gold details, detailed ceilings, and precious artwork. These spaces were made for royal ceremonies, but when Diana lived here, she filled the palace with a different kind of beauty: kindness, openness, and humanity. The chapel inside Kensington, built in the 1830s, also played an important role in the palace's history. With Renaissance artwork and antique furnishings, it was a place for quiet prayer and intimate ceremonies. It held weddings, christenings, and moments of reflection that shaped the lives of generations of royals. Finding light in the middle of struggle. Even as Diana faced difficulties in her marriage, she remained at Kensington Palace. She stayed after she and Prince Charles formally separated in 1992. She stayed after their divorce in 1996, and she stayed until her tragic passing in 1997. Kensington Palace was her anchor, her safe place, her home. When the outside world became too overwhelming with tabloid stories, flashing cameras, and constant attention, she returned to the quiet corners of her apartment, the gardens, and the familiar rooms she had lovingly designed. Her connection to Kensington Gardens was especially strong. The sunken garden, filled with white flowers, became one of her favorite spots. She took walks there in the early mornings, enjoying moments of privacy and peace. In 2017, this garden was transformed into the White Garden in her honor, planted with white roses, lilies, and forget-me-nots, all inspired by the flowers she loved. And on what would have been her 60th birthday, a statue of Princess Diana was unveiled in that same garden. It stands there today, surrounded by living reminders of her gentle spirit. A legacy, inside and outside the walls. Kensington Palace is many things: a historic home, a royal residence, a museum, and a national landmark. But for millions of people around the world, it is forever connected to the life of Princess Diana. This was where she raised her children, where she built her identity, where she found strength, where she loved, struggled, healed, and hoped. It was the one place where she could be both Diana, Princess of Wales, and simply Diana, a mother, a woman, and a human being searching for joy. What Diana's homes reveal about her life and legacy. When we look at the life of Princess Diana, it's easy to focus on the glamorous moments, the royal wedding watched by the entire world, the sparkling tiaras, the designer gowns, and the crowds cheering her name. But the quiet truth of her life can be found in the places she called home. These houses, each so different in style and atmosphere, tell us more about her journey than any headline or photograph ever could. From the soft beginnings of Park House to the grandeur of Althorpe, from the peaceful countryside of Highgrove to the historic walls of Kensington Palace, each home shaped a different chapter of who she was becoming. To understand Princess Diana, you must walk through the rooms she walked, breathe the air she breathed, and see what she saw when the cameras were gone. Homes that shaped a legend. Every home carries its own personality. For Diana, these weren't just buildings. They were reflections of her heart, her struggles, and her dreams. Park House gave her innocence and warmth. Althorpe gave her history and responsibility. Highgrove gave her conflict and motherhood. Kensington Palace gave her independence and identity. Together, they formed the map of Diana's life. Park House. A childhood of light and shadows. At Park House, Diana learned the meaning of compassion. She saw her parents struggle. She felt the pressure of expectations. She experienced loneliness, but she also found love in the simple moments. The soft colors of the interior walls, the wide gardens, and the quiet countryside shaped the gentle part of her personality, the part that listened, understood, and comforted others, the same part that made her kneel beside sick children, hug homeless people, and hold hands with those battling illness or despair. Park House showed her what it felt like to hurt, and that pain gave her the power to heal others. Althorpe, a legacy, stretching across centuries. When Diana moved to Althorpe House at age 14, she stepped into a world of tradition. Portraits of ancestors lined the walls, reminding her of duty and heritage. The echoing halls and wide grounds taught her discipline, calmness, and reflection. But Althorpe also taught her that wealth and privilege couldn't protect anyone from emotional wounds. Inside its 90 rooms, she saw that even the grandest homes can hold sadness. And yet, Althorpe remained her anchor. It was where she returned throughout her life, and where she now rests in the center of the island on the lake, surrounded by the water, the trees, and the peace she longed for. Althorpe became not just a home, but her final sanctuary. Highgrove House, joy and heartache, intertwined. At Highgrove, Diana stepped into the complicated world of royal marriage. The grand interiors, the elegant hallways, and the carefully designed gardens couldn't hide the emotional distance growing between her and Prince Charles. Highgrove taught her resilience. It taught her to stand strong even when she felt alone. It taught her to find joy in motherhood despite the pain around her. The estate became a playground for Prince William and Prince Harry, a place where they could run free and be children without royal expectations following them. For Diana, their laughter at Highgrove was the brightest part of her days. But the gardens Charles loved reminded her constantly of the parts of his life she felt excluded from. Highgrove became a symbol of a marriage that never truly fit. Leaving it behind was one of the first steps she took toward reclaiming herself. Kensington Palace, where Diana found herself. Kensington Palace is where Diana became Diana. In apartment 8 and 9, she created a home filled with soft colors and warm feelings. She decorated her sitting rooms with pink fabrics, floral prints, and family photos. She made her children's rooms cheerful, cozy, and full of love. This palace wasn't just a residence. It was the center of her public and private transformation. Here, she learned to use her voice. Here, she built her own identity. Here, she changed the world. She met with charities, planned her humanitarian missions, wrote letters, welcomed friends, and raised her sons. She laughed here, she cried here, she grew here. Even after her separation from Charles, she stayed at Kensington because it was her safe space, the one home where she didn't feel overshadowed or silenced. It was the heart of her life. And even today, visitors walk through its gardens knowing they are stepping on the same paths she once loved. What these homes tell us about Diana. When we study these 4 homes, we begin to see a pattern, a thread that connects the little girl at Park House to the princess the world adored. Park House reveals her innocence. Althorpe reveals her heritage. Highgrove reveals her struggle. Kensington reveals her strength. Together, they form the full picture of a woman who lived with extraordinary beauty, deep pain, and remarkable courage. These homes didn't just shelter her. They shaped her. They softened her. They strengthened her. They gave her the space to grow into someone unforgettable. A legacy carried forward. Today, Princess Diana's story continues through her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who carry her values and memories into their own lives. They grew up in these homes, heard her laughter echo in the hallways, and watched her kindness in action. Through them, pieces of Diana live on. Her compassion, her determination, her love for family, and her belief in helping the most vulnerable. And through the places she called home, millions of people can still feel her presence. Visitors see the white flowers in Kensington's sunken garden, the island at Althorpe surrounded by quiet water, the peaceful countryside of Highgrove, and the simple charm of Park House. It is almost as if each home is still whispering parts of her story. The woman behind the legend. When the world remembers Princess Diana, they remember the sparkle of cameras and the elegance of a young princess waving from a royal balcony. But walking through her homes reminds us that she was more than that. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother, a dreamer, a woman searching for love, honesty, and peace. Behind every smile was a story. Behind every public appearance was a private battle. Behind every royal home was a human heart. Her houses show us that she lived between two worlds, the world of royalty and the world of real life. She carried both with grace. And in the end, she became something greater than a title. She became a symbol of love, hope, and understanding. Someone the world will never forget. Old money mansions, modern eyes. Why Diana's homes still fascinate us. Even years after her death, the world is still drawn to Princess Diana. People watch documentaries about her. They share her quotes. They visit the places she once lived, stand in the same gardens she walked through, and look up at the same windows where she once watched the world outside. One of the reasons her story never fades is because it is tied so tightly to the houses that shaped her. These weren't ordinary homes, they were old money mansions, places built long before she was born, filled with history, traditions, and careful design. And yet, even with all their elegance, they were also places where very human struggles unfolded. When we look at these estates today, we see more than bricks, stone, and decorated rooms. We see shadows of Diana's life. Althorpe shows us a girl who came from a long, noble line. Park House shows us a child who grew up close to royalty, but still felt pain. Highgrove shows us a young woman trying to fit into a royal life that did not always fit her back. Kensington Palace shows us a mother and a global figure who tried to turn her fame into something meaningful. These grand homes tell a story about money, power, and tradition. But through Diana's eyes, they also tell a story about kindness, loneliness, and courage. Old money style and soft rebellion. All of Diana's homes shared something in common. They were rooted in old money taste. This style is not loud or flashy. It does not scream for attention. Instead, it whispers. It shows wealth through quality, not glitter. High ceilings, original wood, marble fireplaces, portraits in gold frames, well-used leather books, and worn but beautiful carpets are all signs of this type of richness. At Althorpe and Kensington, for example, the elegance feels timeless rather than trendy. These houses were not redecorated to follow every new fashion. They kept their character. But while the houses reflected old money tradition, Princess Diana often quietly pushed against that world. She did not always follow royal rules. She touched people when others simply nodded at them. She spoke openly about her struggles when she could have stayed silent. She used her position not just to attend fancy events, but to bring attention to AIDS patients, landmine victims, and the homeless. In many ways, the contrast between Diana and her residences makes her story even more powerful. She lived in grand settings, but her heart was always with ordinary people. The contrast between outside and inside. From the outside, her homes looked perfect. At Park House, sunlight fell on red brick walls and white-framed windows. At Althorpe, long driveways led to a stately house framed by green lawns and still water. At Highgrove, ivy, roses, and carefully shaped hedges surrounded the house in gentle beauty. At Kensington, tall brick walls and iron gates guarded a palace connected to centuries of royal life. But inside these walls, real life was happening. There were arguments, worries, and tears. There were moments of fear, stress, and doubt. There were secrets, misunderstandings, and heartbreaks. Diana's life shows us that living in a palace does not automatically mean happiness. Marble halls and historic paintings cannot fix a broken relationship. Silk curtains and chandeliers cannot take away loneliness. Her story reminds us that what we see from the outside is rarely the full truth. That is one reason people still feel such a deep connection to her. She seemed to say, "I may live in a palace, but I know what it feels like to hurt." And because of that, millions of people felt less alone. Oh, a princess between two worlds. In many ways, Princess Diana stood between two worlds. One was the world of royalty and old money estates, places like Althorp and Kensington Palace, full of quiet rules, formal dinners, and heavy expectations. In this world, everything was planned and managed. Every outfit, every speech, every step outside the door meant something. The other world was the world of everyday people, the ones she met in hospitals, schools, shelters, and crowded streets. In that world, people didn't care about royal titles. They cared that she listened. They cared that she looked them in the eye and saw them as human. Her homes reflected this divide. In the drawing rooms and staterooms, she played her royal part. In the nurseries and private sitting rooms, she was simply Mummy or Diana. In the gardens, she could escape from both worlds for a moment and breathe. She spent her life trying to balance these two realities, being a princess and being a person. And that struggle is written into every doorway, staircase, and garden she passed through. Why we still care about her homes. Today, documentaries, tours, and articles about Diana's residences are incredibly popular. People want to see where she slept, where she sat, where she walked. They want to imagine her brushing past a certain hallway, or leaning against a certain balcony rail, or standing by a particular window. It is not just about architecture, it is about connection. Seeing her homes helps people feel closer to her. They become more than historical spaces. They become stages on which her life unfolded. Some scenes filled with joy, others filled with sorrow. Visitors to Althorp pause at the lake, staring at the island where she lies. Visitors to Kensington Gardens stop at the sunken garden, now filled with white roses in her honor. People look at old photos of Highgrove and wonder what she was really feeling in those moments. They see Park House and think of the little girl who had no idea how famous she would become. Each house becomes a chapter in a book that people never stop reading. A final reflection. In the end, Princess Diana's story is not just the story of a royal life. It is the story of a woman who found herself inside a world that was both beautiful and extremely difficult. Her houses were grand, but she never used them to distance herself from ordinary people. Instead, she stepped out of those gates, met the world face to face, and tried to use her position to make life better for others. Her old money mansions may have belonged to history, but her heart always belonged to humanity. And that is why, even now, long after the doors of those homes have closed behind her, the world still leans in to listen to her story, hoping to learn, to feel, and to remember a princess who was, in so many ways, wonderfully human.